I I grew up in Lebanon, and I moved to Germany for my studies. But my background is that I think I grew up a bit with images because of my father, who's a fashion photographer. So I pretty much had like images in my life the whole time, and then I had kind of an aggression against fashion at a certain point, and yeah, I decided to go into documentaries and films instead of like stepping into my father's steps. And I didn't also like I liked images, but I didn't want to keep it at that level. That's a good question. I love the process of a cinematographer coming from a place where the script is written and reinterpreting that in my like visual way until the editing. And actually, I'm still like I'm kind of afraid of the whole. I like the intensity of being on set and preparing for that. So yeah, I'm kind of doing what just feels very alive to me. And I love the fact of being like that close to people and working with them so closely on set. And yeah. I remember going to my grandfather's place, who loved to watch Xenia, who was like a female Tarzan. And I would love taking his VHS and watch it. But I don't remember like this is one of my early memories of what I love. I prefer going to a theater just because it creates like a movie becomes like a bigger event than just streaming it at home, kind of a ceremony and going in, living it, like it's a different experience than streaming. Wait, so we went to the Venice Film Festival, which was again the first cinema experience that I've had for a long time. And then yeah, in Venice there was a film called Kovadi's Aida, a Bosnian film that was really, really good. That didn't win any prize. I don't know why, but it's, to me, it was like one of the strongest films I've seen in years. I remember like there's a Red Desert from Antonioni that moved me a lot, visually and storytelling wise. And yeah, that's a movie. And then there's A Sans Soleil and La Jetée, Chris Marker's work that inspired me and inspires me still. So. I started studying film in Munich in 2009, and after 3 years, I decided to, or I had to start working to get some, like, to finance my studies. So I left film school pretty early. I was still enrolled, but for many years I was working more than going to film school. And the system in Germany is, I don't know if you're, the schools in Germany are on a very long time, so you could spend 10 years there, and that's like a lot of students spend that much time studying. So there's no limit, and I went, like I started studying and working, and being on set made me learn a lot, and then I would come back to film school and use like the studio or work with professors and ask and try to learn what I had experienced on set that I didn't really feel I mastered. I was pretty much juggling between film university and being on set. I think both ways are valid and would work, and that depends on the person. And the funny thing on my side is that when I started learning at film school, I had the feeling that it took me 3 years to learn what the professors and like the school wanted me to learn, and then it took me 7 years to unlearn what I had learned at school to get back to what I felt I believed in before starting film school, which is still my core. So it's interesting that film school kind of took me away from that path, but in a good way to think about it and go back with a different view. I mean, in the world, it is growing. I have the feeling more and more people and countries are familiar with Arab cinema. And to me, also in terms of scripts, I have the feeling the more interesting stories are coming from there right now, or used to be also in the last years. Yeah, I can't imagine like, comparing the Arab world to Europe, for example, is a place that is much more rich, like richer with stories and untold, yeah, movies and the stories. Lebanese cinema has been growing in a very, very interesting way to me, because I see people who I grew up with, or people like of my generation and the generation above me who wouldn't who just dare doing movies in a new way and just defy the system and the situation they are in. And I think that's what's happening on a broader level in all Arab countries where cinema is like there is kind of a nouvelle vague happening, or a new Arab cinema emerging. Yeah. And I just shot, I don't know if the Man Who Sold His Skin, a Tunisian film with a French Tunisian director, who's also very interesting in terms that like I just feel that Arab directors are full of like boiling from the inside to tell stories, and that's something I don't see in, let's say, in German cinema. Yeah. Through working with director Kauthar Belhania, I discovered a new network of people, and I just no I discovered Tunisian cinema, um, and yeah, and I watched last year a film called The Sun from Mehdi, a Tunisian film called The Sun that that was brilliant. I see a growing opportunity for Arab filmmakers. For example, in Germany or in Europe, there are a lot of residency and fellowships that are offered, and yeah. And also in Lebanon, I have the feeling everyone is able to tell their stories with smaller devices, and everything is pretty accessible. So a lot of filmmakers are getting there and doing their own films that are very unique. I applied for a co-production grant 2011 through the Robert Bosch Association in Berlin, and through that I got introduced to a whole network of filmmakers, of Arab filmmakers that I hadn't known because I was living in Germany back then. And through that initiative, I just managed to get connected to them and them to us, and they would get connected to producers, and to me it was a big help, or it was a good way of diving back into the Arab world, but through good connections and people who were already working on projects.
Yeah.
I haven't had a mentor. I was looking for one when I was in my fourth year at film school, and couldn't find um, anyone to follow me on a long time. And I was kind of sad, but at the same time, I wonder if I would have been as free as I am right now, um, having had a mentor. I can't answer that because I hadn't had the experience. But I like the freedom I had, or the kind of yeah, just breaking, like going against the film school and maybe not having a mentor. Yeah, so at my film school, we start shooting on film on Super 16 for a year, but black and white, and then the next year is film, but then color. So for 2 years, I had yeah, all the first year films and second year films shot on Super 16. So those were, yeah, many shorts. And then the year after, I think, was when the film was in crisis and the schools stopped getting or the school stopped yeah, okay. And then the school stopped providing film stocks, and so we stopped shooting on film till 2 years ago, where I started shooting again on Super 16. Um, and I just shot a passion film and another art film on Super 16. Okay, it's pretty simple. So my advice to aspiring filmmakers is to create a network of people that they trust and that becomes their kind of family. Because if you have those people, then you have everything you need. You can talk about films, you can shoot films, and you can maybe get money or I don't know, get people to help you and um, yeah, and have an exchange with. And I think that that kind of network or group of people is very important. Yeah, and watch a lot of films and shoot a lot. Yeah, I watched a film called A Touch of Sins, Japanese film that I really liked, and then I watched another film called In the Realm of Senses. Yeah, and it's crazy that they did that movie in the year 76. So I just watched it 2 days ago. That's why I'm still like, um, yeah, surprised. I'm at in my career at the moment is feels like a very beautiful place where I'm managing to hop from country to country and dive into different projects that are very interesting, and that's very fulfilling to me. So at the moment, I don't know. I just want to discover more and get to those interesting places more and more, and just, yeah, keep telling stories that move and are important.